Hey everyone, in this video we're going to talk about how you can connect the MIDI hardware of your choice and start using it with Sunday Keys. We're going to pick up right where we left off at the end of the welcome video at the very top of the video resource page. We're here in the main stage folder that I had you drag over to your favorites bar. Then you're just going to choose the version of Sunday Keys that you like to use that came with your download. In this video it's 1.4, but when you're watching it could be 1.4 or a newer version. Now, the first set of instructions here is not going to be contingent upon which hardware you'd like to use. It's going to be generic, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the Nano concert file. But if you want to use TouchOSC or if you want to use a different MIDI controller, then I recommend that you double click on the Touch file here. I'm going to just start with the Nano Control 2 file. Like I said, the first steps are going to be generic, so the steps are going to apply regardless of which MIDI hardware that you'd like to use. Now, I recommend that you don't have any other main stage concerts open when you open up these concert files. So if you're not sure how to do that, just close out the concerts by quitting main stage and then going to the main stage folder and opening up these concert files. When you double click on the concert file, there will be a loading bar in the middle of your screen, and it'll take just a little while for the concert to open up. I've already opened it so that you don't have to wait. I'm just going to click on main stage here in the background. Now, if you're a new main stage user or a new Sunday Keys user, there are a couple things that you might see pop up on your screen the first time you open it up. So really quickly, I want to address them all. First one is this that says, this concert contains plugins that add output latency. This is just letting you know that Sunday Keys includes some complex programming. It's really not anything to be alarmed about. Main stage shows this warning to most main stage users at some time or another. So just click Do Not Show this message again and ignore. We're going to address a couple other messages you might see really quickly. If you don't see these messages, don't worry, that means you're all set. And if you do see these messages, don't let it freak you out. It's just going to take a second for you to resolve them, and then you won't have to worry about them again. Now, if you see a message on screen like what you see here that says EXS24 instruments not found, this is most likely because you received an error message during the installation process that you haven't resolved. So right above this video, click the link that says click here if you received an error message during installation, and resolve that error, and then restart your computer. You should be good to go. Now, if you see an error message that looks like this, and on the lower line it says audio file, then the file name .aif not found, that means you don't have some of MainStage's sound library downloaded on your computer. MainStage comes with a large sound library, but it's not all installed automatically. So right below this video on the video resource page, there's a little link to a video called Downloading the MainStage Sound Library. So when you click on that, it's just going to open up the video for you, and it's going to explain the sound library content that you need to download. Now, it's included with MainStage. It's free. It's included in the price of MainStage, but it's just not necessarily always automatically installed for every MainStage user. So if you get that error message, go ahead and click that link right below this video called Downloading the MainStage Sound Library. If you don't see the error message, then that means that you've already got the sound library installed and you don't need to worry about it. All right, now we have MainStage open here. And like I said, the first steps here are generic, so it doesn't matter which concert you have open, which hardware you'd like to use. Now, if you're a new MainStage user, all you need to know here is that MainStage has 3 modes, and they're represented right up here at the top. Edit mode, perform mode, and layout mode. And if you don't know what those mean, you don't need to worry about it too much for right now. All you need to know is that edit mode is where you can find and create sounds, perform mode is where you can play those sounds live, and layout mode is where you can connect your hardware to MainStage, which, not coincidentally, is what we need to do right now. So go ahead and click on layout mode, and it opens up in a screen like this. This big area here is called the workspace, and this represents all of the hardware that you can connect to MainStage. So we need to make a couple connections between our physical MIDI hardware and the on-screen workspace. In MainStage, that's called an assignment. So we're going to assign 4 basic things that's going to be true no matter what other MIDI hardware you want to use. You're going to need to make these assignments. The first is the sustain pedal. To make an assignment, click on the control that you want to assign. So that's the sustain pedal right here. And you'll see it highlighted in blue. And you'll see a little information about it over here on the left in the Screen Control Inspector area. Now, to assign it, all you need to do is click the Assign button, and then click on your physical sustain pedal a few times. Now, if you don't see it responding, then double check to make sure that your keyboard's turned on and that your sustain pedal's plugged into the correct port on the back of your keyboard. If you're still not seeing a signal or if it's behaving oddly, then later on the video resource page, we have a troubleshooting lesson that's got all sorts of helpful links. And there will be a link there about troubleshooting your MIDI. But for now, we're going to assume that you see that physical pedal affecting the on-screen pedal. So as I step on my physical pedal, I see it responding on screen. Next, click on the on-screen keyboard. You'll see it highlighted, and the assign button is still glowing in red, which means we're still making assignments. So now you just need to press a few physical keys on your keyboard, and you'll see them respond to your playing on screen. Next, we're going to go over here to your mod wheel. You want to do the same thing. Move your physical mod wheel up and down, and then lastly, the pitch bend. Now, the mod wheel especially is used in Sunday keys a lot to open up the filter on pads and synth sounds and manipulate the sounds in a really musical and expressive way. But some MIDI controllers don't have a mod wheel. So right below this video, we also have a link called Use a Knob or Fader as your mod wheel. So if you don't have a mod wheel, but you'd still like to get that functionality, if your keyboard has any knobs or faders that are unused, you can use those as your mod wheel instead with just a couple quick steps. So go ahead and click that video and check it out if you would like to be able to use the mod wheel functionality, but your physical mod wheel doesn't have, or your physical MIDI controller doesn't have one. Now that we've made those 4 assignments, we're going to go back over here to edit mode, and we're about ready to play. Now, before you do anything else, what I recommend you do is go up to File, in Main Stage, and choose Save. When you do, that's going to override the original copy of the concert, which most of the time you don't want to do. I always recommend that you click Save As and then rename it if you make any modifications, so that you can always come back to the original concert. But if you do a save here, after you've made those 4 assignments, then you'll never have to make those assignments again as long as you keep using the same MIDI hardware. So I do recommend that you go to File and then just choose Save after making those assignments. All right, so those are the generic assignments that you need to make to connect your MIDI hardware to Main Stage and using Sunday keys. Now we're going to talk about the specific hardware that you chose that you wanted to use. All right, now let's talk about using TouchOSC on any modern smart device to control Sunday keys. We're going to start by going to the Main Stage folder, choosing the version of Sunday keys that you downloaded, and then you're going to want to open up the concert file that has Touch in the name. So just double click that file, and again, I recommend you don't have any other Main Stage concerts open when you do this. It's going to load up, and then it's going to look like this. So there are a couple extra steps that you need to do to use TouchOSC to control Sunday keys in Main Stage. So the first thing that you need to do is on your smart device, whether it's an iPad, a tablet, an iPhone, or an Android phone, go to your App Store or the Google Play Store and search for TouchOSC. At the time of this video, TouchOSC is only $5. It's a really inexpensive way to have some tactile control over Sunday keys. So download that app onto your device. Then on the video resource page, follow the link right below this video called Download TouchOSC Files. And when you do that, it's going to take you to this page, Hexler.net, Software, TouchOSC. There are a couple pieces of software that we need to download in order to be able to use TouchOSC. They are the Editor app and the Bridge app. So you're going to scroll down on this page quite a bit, and you'll see the Download section. Here is where you can download the TouchOSC Editor and the TouchOSC Bridge apps. So you want to click here on TouchOSC Editor, the most recent version for Mac, and then TouchOSC Bridge, the most recent version for Mac. Download both of those. They're free downloads and they're pretty small. Should only take a second. And then make sure that you unzip the downloads and follow any prompts to install them both. After you've installed both, we're going to open up the Editor app. I've got it on my toolbar down here. It looks like this. If you don't, you can go find it in Applications, or you can start to search for TouchOSC in Spotlight, and you'll see you've got the Bridge app and the Editor app both ready to go. So we're going to open up the TouchOSC Editor app. Takes about a few seconds for it to load usually. Seems like a false start at first, but it always fires up after a few seconds. So it's going to look like this by default. We're going to go here and choose Open. And then this is going to default to whatever file folder you were on last. So it might be your desktop or your downloads. You just want to choose Main Stage from your Favorites bar, navigate to your Sunday Keys folder within Main Stage, choose Reference Files. Within Reference Files, you will find all of the TouchOSC templates that are included in your version of Sunday Keys. In version 1.4, that's an iPad or tablet-sized template where all the controls are on one screen. And then you also have a phone-sized template. This splits the controls onto multiple tabs that you can flip between to easily control the template on a smaller device, like an iPhone or an Android phone. That's what we're going to use today, but if you wanted to load the iPad version onto your iPad or your tablet, the process would be the same, just choose the iPad template instead. So I'm going to choose the phone option right here, and the file extension is .touchOSC. That's how you can identify these files. And I'm going to select open, and it's going to load it right here. So you can see here in the editor app we have 4 tabs. The first tab is tonic, the second tab is the extra and output sections, and the third and fourth tabs are the faders and knobs, and then the push buttons of the 4 main sections. Now we're not actually going to do any editing right in here. All we need to do is hit the sync button. And this is how we're going to transfer this layout file from the Mac to the smart device. So when you see this layout sync pop-up come up, know that that's all you need to do on your computer. Now just make sure that you have your Wi-Fi on and that your smart device is connected to the same Wi-Fi network. Now, you're going to go over to your smart device, and I'm going to throw the screen up on here so you can see what I'm looking at. So here is my iPhone. I've opened up the TouchOSC app, and it may have opened up with a layout already open, so just hit this little button here, that little dot, and it'll take you to the menu. Now, first thing we're going to do is click under Connections where it says TouchOSC Bridge. And you just want to make sure that that says Enabled. You have Allow USB connection turned on. If you're on an iOS device, you can connect over a USB cable, which I highly recommend doing, just because it's more reliable than a Wi-Fi connection, although I've had great success with Wi-Fi connections as well. But if you are using an iOS device, so an iPhone or an iPad, then you can use a USB cable rather than Wi-Fi. If you have an Android device, I've been told that USB is not an option, that you're going to have to use Wi-Fi. And then you'll also see the Wi-Fi network that you're connected to there. Next, we're going to go down to Layout, and you can see I've got a layout loaded here. You're just going to touch that layout option, and then up here at the top, you want to choose Add. When you do that, your computer will show up as a host. It might take a second, and you just want to choose that host. So just touch on the host, and then it will sync the layout over. I've already got this on my phone, so it's just going to come right over there. And now we can see that I have SK TouchOSC Phone 1.4. So that's the file that I just brought over. Now over on the computer, you can hit Stop Sync, and you can go ahead and close the TouchOSC editor. And now that you've got that selected, you hit TouchOSC up here at the top to go back, and then choose Done. Now that you've got that done, you've got the 4 tabs you can switch between on your device. Now there's one last step that you have to do in order for Sunday Keys to receive these messages from TouchOSC running on your device. You have to open up the TouchOSC Bridge app. TouchOSC Bridge has to be running anytime you want to use TouchOSC to send MIDI to your Mac. So to do this, all you do is go up to Spotlight. We've already got TouchOSC typed in there, so you could do it that way. I find that if you type in Bridge, it's going to be the top hit. So just give that a click, double click, and it's going to open up. Now, it's a really subtle application. It doesn't open up in a window. It doesn't show as open down here on the toolbar or anything. All that it does is add this little icon up here at the top. See this B, and when you hover over it, it says TouchOSC Bridge. So it's really easy to think that you didn't do anything, but as long as you see that little B up there at the top, then you're good to go. Now I'm going to go back over to Main Stage, and I want you to see, as I change through patches here, how the on-screen controls jump to the settings that are present within Sunday Keys. So really quickly, an overview of how this works. It's pretty self-explanatory because it visually pretty exactly mirrors what you see in the Sunday Keys workspace. So you have tab 1 here, which controls tonic. Tab 2 controls the extra section, tap tempo, previous, and next patch. Then you have small options for the panic and mono button, and then you also have the high and low EQ, as well as the volume fader for the output section. Tabs 3 and 4 give you the full section controls. So tab 3 here has all the 8 volume faders and all of the 8 knobs. And then tab 4 has 6 buttons per section to represent the 6 sections here. Now the iPad template combines all of these options onto one screen that more closely resembles the actual layout of the Sunday Keys workspace. So if you have a device with a larger screen, you might try the iPad template that's included, so that you don't have to flip through tabs and you can see everything all at once. Now, I will note that mentioned in the Nano Control 2 installation video that you can use both TouchOSC and the Nano Control 2 or a different MIDI controller at the same time. If you'd like to use the Nano Control 2 and TouchOSC at the same time, I'd recommend that you start by watching the Nano video on the video resource page, and that you open up the Nano concert file rather than the TouchOSC concert file. In that video, I mentioned that the tonic section, the extra section, and the output section are largely controlled by TouchOSC by default, even in the Nano concert file. So you might not even need to do any reassigning work. You might be able to just open up TouchOSC on your smart device, get that running, plug in your Nano Control 2, and have a really great controls solution. That's my preferred way to use Sunday Keys live. You can also use TouchOSC to supplement your existing MIDI controller. So if you want to watch the I Want to Use Something Else video right next to this one on the video resource page, I recommend starting by opening up the Touch concert file, and then you can make any reassignments that you'd like. Anything that you don't reassign will still automatically be controlled by TouchOSC. So that's why I recommend that you start with that Touch concert file. Now, if you have trouble getting TouchOSC to work, just make sure that you have the Bridge app open, make sure that you've properly transferred over the template file, and then I would ask that you go to the link that we have right below this video to download the TouchOSC files, and there's a really thorough manual on the Hexler.net website that's right below those downloads. So make sure to check out the user manual there if you have any help, or if you have any problems, and then if you need further help, they have a really nice and responsive support team that are able to help you sort out TouchOSC specific issues. Now, if you have any trouble navigating features specific to the Sunday Keys integration, feel free to reach out to us. I'd recommend doing so via email or in the Sunday Keys user community Facebook group. All right, now like I said, if you want to use the Nano Control 2 or if you want to use a different MIDI controller, be sure to check out the related videos right next to this one on the video resource page. Otherwise, if you scroll down further on that page, the next thing we're going to discuss is getting your audio equipment ready to go. Thanks for watching this video.